All right. Evidence-based practices number 2. This is where I get to show you guys a lot of samples and stuff. A lot of these are real. I've used these in the field, I've made them in the field, or colleagues have made them in the field. Some of them were borrowed from the internet. I actually have a talk online that's all about visual supports. Some of these slides are from that. You can go on to the Accessing Abilities online, accessingabilities.com, and there is another CEU class, or I'm sorry, parent training class that you can access. It's like through PayPal if you want to learn more about these too. I hope to put some more up. So visual schedules and visual supports can encompass activity schedules, but it's more than just the first then. A lot of times we'll see a support such as this or this, but I want you guys to put your thinking caps on and think about how we can think beyond just the typical go-to of what we always give. And also think about who we are as learners. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I personally have implemented visual schedules with myself so much. Like, I live by a calendar. I have a to-do list. And a lot of times we need to teach our students, our children, our learners how to do that too. And it does not necessarily have to be a picture. Like, if I showed my 9-year-old this, he'd be like, please, Mom, I'm being, like, no. You could just say it vocally. That alone is a schedule. Like, tomorrow I'm taking my son to the orthodontist because there's something bothering him on his tooth. And actually he has to come with me to a doctor's appointment, so it's gonna be an interesting day. And he's a neurotypical kiddo who doesn't probably need this, but it's a nice to have. So when we get in the car, I'm gonna say, all right, Jacob, it's a Jacob Mommy day. We're gonna probably grab a bagel, I'll take him to breakfast, and then we're going to Mommy's doctor, and then we're going to your doctor, and then I'll probably tell him, we'll either go back to school, or I'll just steal you for the day, and you won't have to go to school, depending on what time of day we're done. But it's gonna be as predictable as possible. If he was a learner who really, really, really needed that predictability, man, I would totally have it on a whiteboard, I would put it on my phone, I would have it as pictures if that's how he learns best. So the research shows that visual schedules are an antecedent intervention. An antecedent intervention is something that we put in the environment proactively in a positive way to set that learner up for success. So we're giving it to them ahead of time so that we see more of the desired behavior. It adds predictability, it tells the sequence of activities, and it could be child or staff chosen. It's super fun. I've got some great apps that are in your slides further down that show you how you guys could create these things too. So, and it doesn't have to be laminated. Literally, you could do it on a whiteboard. It's awesome. So I came up with this in the middle of a talk one time, and I'm glad I remembered to share this on this screen today. I think I thought about this on a roller coaster. We were on vacation this summer, and I lost a lot of weight recently, and I'm now able to go on a roller coaster again. I wasn't able to go on it before because of my weight. Very sad. But I used behavior analysis measures, and it was a good thing. So anyway, I'm on a roller coaster for the first time in 10 years. It was so much fun. You know, it was one of those like where you just like start from 0 to whatever, and you go, whew, and then it goes around and it goes like this, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so much fun. And at one point we were backwards, and I'm like, oh, I love it, it feels so good. I had no idea what was coming. That was fun for me. But for learners, the analogy part of it here for you guys is, like, sure, at Disney World, at the shore, this is great if that's what you're signed up for and that's what you've bought your ticket, you're ready for that roller coaster, you want that thrill, but you don't want that every single day. That should be a novelty. That's not fun. For people with anxiety, for people that need predictability, I'm talking little guys, big guys, and adults. Sometimes not knowing what's coming up next is almost like a roller coaster ride, especially if it's in the dark. You don't know when these difficult times are coming up. And if we can set those learners up for success and tell them ahead of time, here's what's coming up, this is what you're gonna do. Research shows, this is an evidence-based practice, that they're gonna be more likely to have success on that endeavor. So let's not put them on a roller coaster on an everyday basis. you know? Is that like kind of, I don't know, just a weird thing I thought of. We're going this way. So activity schedules can be lots of different ways. They can be movable. You might want to like pick up the icon, place it in a finished bin. You might want to have a little clip. You might just want to check it off. I mean, like I have a to-do list. Oh, and I probably have it here. It feels so good to just take a black magic marker and mark it off, done, and then maybe even rewrite it and have it like only half the page instead of a full page, and it's like, you can actually have a little bit lighter of a day. So it does not have to be just this way. It can be an app. Some of the app-based ones, I'm gonna grab a water real quick. So the activities of, thank you. Activities of daily living. This is a visual here for getting dressed. And you know, you might wanna show the learner, this is like literally an iPad one, thank you, Wendy. And it says, excuse me, you know, it first shows the undergarments. I guess this is PJs, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, getting dressed in the morning. First it's the undergarments, then you put the pants on, then you put the whole, you know, because we want our kids to get dressed independently. And like, I would do this with my kids when they were 2 and 3, neurotypical kids, because that's, you know, most 2 and 3-year-olds should be able to get dressed. I may have laid out the clothes first. And actually, the learner might not need a chart. They might benefit from having the parent help pick out the outfit that fits the weather, hopefully, the night before, and then maybe lay it out on a chair as like underwear would be top, and then the pants would be second, and then the top would be third, so that when they pick it up, it's automatically in the order that they need, and that itself is a visual. Here's a schedule for nighttime for somebody that might be having a difficult time following a nightly routine and making sure that we do all these things, because maybe they're engaging in interfering behaviors. So that helps to add that predictability and keep them on track. Grooming. Here's one that I did for a 16-year-old with exercise. Once she was on the treadmill, she was great. I went and observed her. She had a lot of attention-seeking behaviors, and she was on a waiver. Staff provided assistance with taking her to the gym and being there for her safety, but didn't really need to be like by her side the whole time. So it was awesome. Like, staff would go on the treadmill or the bike while the student, the learner who I was, you know, my client, was on the treadmill too. Once she was on the treadmill, she was good to go. She was not engaging in talking. She was the happiest thing, listening to her iPad or watching the show. But before and after, she was engaging in a lot of interfering behaviors. This particular learner needed the picture support, and it just kind of like made her brain work less. So that's okay too. Like, just make it as easy as possible. So we gave her this so that she knew what to do and didn't need to rely on staff to help her through each step of the way. I've done this in the job world. This is almost like your recipe, right? Like, if we were gonna cook a recipe for the first time, we're gonna follow that step one at a time. And this is basically your recipe for the client, for the learner, in order to be as independent as possible and evoke more of those desired behaviors. Going the wrong way. Here's some schedules for routines. A lot of these are real ones that I've used in the field. This one's a fun one. I love telling this story. I got a call from the speech therapist in one of the districts that I was consulting with, and he's like, you know, we need help with so-and-so. She has ADHD, super bright, but she kept missing the bus, or staff. I think staff were like, the aide was helping her through all of the steps in the morning and after school to get her stuff done at her locker, because she was like looking around and chit-chatting with all her friends, and like, you know, a first grade locker area in the middle of the hallway was like mass chaos. So she just had a really difficult time focusing and knowing what she needed to do. But instead of having staff say, all right, Danielle, you're gonna do this, 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 and this, we provided her a visual. This particular visual was the morning one. She had one that looked just like this, but the opposite direction for after school. And if you can picture this, like, it folded. So we would just place this on her locker, and she moved it over, and you could see the check when she put the, so wait, this is sitting in class. Okay, she'd get to school, she'd hang up her coat, she'd move it over, check. Then she would take her hat, she'd move it over, check. This just kept her focused, and she was on time. And we faded it. She needed this for like 2 days. Fine. That's good. We don't want them to have this forever. But it got the need met, and she didn't need staff to do it. And she already had the skills. She just needed that visual support to get it done. Task analyses, a lot of times we can do this. If they forget to floss their teeth, maybe this, or maybe they need support, this can help them with how to do each step of that task. Here's a schedule within a schedule. There's also visual, there's a lot of research out there. Video modeling is highly effective as well. I have a learner who, she's 23, we used behavior analysis. I provided support to her job coach to get her to be more independent, and she was working in the food in a restaurant and needed to be able to wash her hands. Well, she learned how, she was one of those people, and I sometimes do this too, it's kind of bad, but she washed her hands way too quick. You know how you're supposed to sing the happy birthday song or do it for like 3 minutes? So what they did was they taught her how to access a video from YouTube of somebody who's washing their hands. So she would go on, have the YouTube video readily available on her cell phone, and she would play it, put it down, wash her hands, and the video model was washing their hands at the same time, which got her to wash her hands more independently, and then she didn't need staff to prompt her through the whole thing. Now she has it on her phone, on her watch, which is even less noticeable to peers, and she's able to generalize this skill across settings. So I watched, the day I saw her do it, and she's been using this skill for a long time, the day I saw her do it, she was working at an ice cream parlor, and it was time to wash her hands, so she just went and washed her hands. It's great. That's an independent skill right there. You're using the supports, but hey, we all use our supports, right? When I was here, today I made sure to charge up my phone to look at that to-do list for later this evening.